Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Youch Films Podcast, the show where we kick back and talk with some of the animation and film industry's most interesting minds. Tonight, my co-host and I have the absolute privilege of speaking with yet another great Canadian talent. She's a voice actress, singer, producer, director, writer, stage performer. The list goes on and on. Holly Gautheir-Frankel. How's it going, Holly?
I'm fine. It's Gauthier. It's like Jean-Paul Gaultier, just so you know.
Your name?
Yeah, Gauthier.
Could you say that for me, Holly?
Yeah, Gauthier.
Gauthier.
Like a goat, like a meh, and then like yay. It's like goat yay.
Holly
Gauthier. Yeah.
Holly Gauthier-Frankel. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Holly Gauthier-Frankel. All right.
Yahoo!
I've been saying Gauthier for months now.
A lot of people say Gauthier. It's okay. I just want you to get a leg up, like you've got insider information now.
We were having all this conversation before we went on the air.
We should have. It's hilarious.
That was the one question I meant to ask you.
All right. Holly Gauthier-Frankel. There you go.
And then, of course, I can't be complete without my splendid co-host, film and animation enthusiast, Tyler, here. How are you doing, Tyler?
And I say, hey, what a wonderful time of day to be talking about voice acting in general.
Wonderful.
That is something we're going to be spending a lot of time discussing this time around.
I don't want to generalize, because there's a lot more stuff outside of that, but...
Listen, that's a big one.
Speaking of your career, Holly,
yes.
I think it's best we just jump right all into where this all began back in 1988. You said?
Yeah, I can't even really remember. I started when I was about 7.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was roughly 1988-ish. But I was kind of born into it, basically. I grew up in the studio with my mom, who is a singer, and she did a lot of studio stuff, back when there were jingles on the radio and stuff. So yeah, I started pretty much then. But I only started doing animation and dubbing and cartoon work when I was about 10. So I had about 3 years of studio singing work under my belt at that point.
Wow. So, let's see, back in 1988, you were how old then? You were 10? Or
in 88, I was about 9.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so 89, I was about, 89, I was 10. There you go. I was, yes. Now we all know how old I am. I'm 38 now. And then I was, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Been doing this for about 30 years. Yeah.
That's really interesting. How old were you when you got involved with Arthur? You must have been still pretty young, right?
I was pretty young. I was maybe 16.
Wow. That is
amazing. I think I was about 16. I think. I don't know what's crackling. It's not me, though.
Oh, sorry. That's me.
That's okay. It's okay. I was like, oh my God, is it my lozenge?
Sorry about that, Ezra. I didn't realize I was fidgeting. My bad.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm fidgeting too, but at least you can't hear it.
No, I was literally fidgeting with a piece of paper right next to my microphone.
That's hilarious.
I thought you were eating chips or something, and
no, I'm so sorry.
Gonna get at you because you're always getting at me.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Chips. I want chips.
No, the paper's gone. The paper's
okay. All right. Fine. So yeah, I started doing Arthur when I was about 16 years old, and I wasn't initially part of the original cast. I was brought in as a guest role, and I believe that the story is that the producers didn't have Fern in mind for very many episodes. I think she was just sort of an extra person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, minor character.
Yeah, a minor character that they ended up fleshing out more and more, especially when they realized that I was a singer, and that I could participate in some interesting plot twists and special episodes, because a lot of the people involved in the show are singers as well. So they took advantage of that for some of the episodes.
Yeah, I'd say there's, of course, the big one is It's Only Rock and Roll, which I saw a couple months ago. For the sake
Mhm.
of our chat here. Wow, I think it's really impressive for her. I think as a character within the show, it's impressive because um, you can tell that she's a minor character, but at the same time, she's not. Because
Yeah.
There's so many episodes. Well, I shouldn't say so many, but there's definitely a handful that are solely based around her and things like
Yeah.
that. As the series progressed, let's see, what do you remember anything from that first episode, that first time you brought into the studio, or how they contacted you, or what it was like?
No, I mean, the way I would have been contacted was that I was working at a studio. Um, I was working at the studio where they were producing Arthur and recording it. Actually, not producing the animation, obviously, but I believe I was just called in for an audition because I knew the woman who was working there, and it was a bit of a different system back then, and it was a little more easygoing. And I believe I did audition, but I don't really remember anything else. I mean, they wanted her to be really shy and soft-spoken and very sweet. And I found the experience intimidating, especially because I hadn't been doing a lot of original animation. That's sort of how we classify it. Here we call the original shows that get created originals, and then the rest of the animation work that passes through Montreal, for the most part, was dubbed series from Japan or from Romania or from France. A lot of the things we would do were from France, from various places in Europe and Asia. So I definitely, knowing myself back then, I was probably really nervous and didn't ever expect to go back in because the wonderful director, Deborah Toffin, was very exacting. She's still alive. She is very exacting. She still works in Toronto. And she scared me because she was just really kind of tough, but ultimately extremely kind and very skillful at what she did. And I mean, clearly it's 21 seasons now, so Deb knows exactly how to elicit what she needs from each character. But in those first early days for me, I did not expect to be brought in again. But yeah, I was brought in for some singing work, and I can't remember. Was It's Only Rock and Roll? You tell me that plot line, please, because I think I'm confusing two of the bigger singing specials.
I forget what year it was. I know it was. I think it was probably 2009 or 7, maybe 8. But let's see if I can remember. There's this band that gets started by Francine, I think, and Fern.
Francine. Yeah, I was the other singer on it. But was it the Backstreet Boys one?
Yes, that's what it was. The Backstreet Boys. Okay.
Then I'm not confused, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, that was incredible. When we were told that we were going to do a special and that they were going to, get some of the Backstreet Boys to come, and I don't think they ended up coming actually, but they did end up hearing what we had done.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah, I guess. Well, it must have been. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I feel like it was earlier than 2009, but maybe not. But yeah, at that time.
I only make that assumption because of the animation, but then again, it's difficult to say.
I feel like it was probably earlier than that. Maybe, I don't know. I want to say 2006. I mean, I suppose we could look at all of it and just put this on IMDb and just sort of, oh, wow, I nailed it. Season 7. Oh, wow. 2002.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeesh. Okay.
I
mean, that makes more sense with the Backstreet Boys timeline, right?
Yes, yeah. Also, makes more sense with my memory as well.
I was thinking of the Jonas Brothers or something.
Oh, yeah. No, Backstreet Boys. Backstreet's back. All right. Okay, come on, guys. Thank you. You're welcome. That's a
We should know these things, right?
horrible. No, it's okay. I mean, how can we possibly expect to remember everything, right? But yeah, that was a special time, and I mean, a special memory I have, and this is like probably even earlier than 2002. The recording the Christmas album was one of my favorite things that I ever did. I mean, I love all of the Sherlock Holmesy mystery, Virgule Poirot kind of, I forget the last name. Is it Virgule Poirot? Her Hercule Poirot detective character that she gets to play later.
I know there are detective episodes. I forget what the name she.
Me too.
Uses.
It's Virgule something. Anyway, it's a wonderful character and it's very, very fun. That's what I love the most about Fern. Like they allowed her to grow into a really interesting kind of iconoclastic character, like she's quiet and shy. She likes books. She likes being polite. She likes make-believe. I don't know. I really always enjoyed going in and seeing what was in store for her because it was always something really just very solid, I mean, the other characters are incredible and you expect that from them. They're the archetypes of the show, but it was always just such a treat to go and be Fern because she is similar to me. I'm a huge bookish, I did English literature at McGill. I did a BA in English lit. So, I mean, it's not far away from being Fern.
Certainly.
A person who reads books.
And so you were mentioning that, and that got me thinking that it's absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Arthur is definitely more of the everyman. Buster's kind of the doofy friend. Francine's kind of like the tomboy, and Muffy is kind of like that snotty rich girl. They're all kind of stereotypes of what they're supposed to be. And then you have Fern, who's this. I guess, dare I say, a lot more relatable, I guess, to a child's level.
Mm-hmm.
Just Fern seems like more of a real person than some of the other characters.
Well, that's it. Yeah, she's kind of this regular girl that, and I mean, she's got. I mean, I don't want to say Fern Walters has anxiety, but I mean, she was really shy, and I remember there was a lot of, she was nervous and she doubted herself, and she also has a very creative streak in writing her stories and writing her greeting cards that she did at one point in one episode. She had a little greeting card business, which was really, I don't know. I love her. Yeah.
I think one of the best episodes of Fern is an early season 8 episode, which is Frankenstein's Monster.
Oh, yeah.
That it totally exemplifies everything you were talking about, just her creative streak, the fact that she's a really shy person, but she's got this really interesting, kind of intriguing side to her, this very creative side just waiting to come out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think, was that I don't remember.
Frankenstein's Monster is the one where it's the rainy day and they're all stuck inside telling stories.
Right, that's right. Well, I mean,
and then Fern tells the story of the thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I mean, I like it because they're so good at using history and historical figures and, real moments in time. So that, they're just...
That episode shows a lot of reverence to Mary Shelley. It's almost kind of like a Mary Shelley history lesson.
Yeah, it's like an homage. Yeah.
Right.
Which is, which I loved at the time because I was, I had just finished my degree and I was like, whoa, wow. And I mean, I never asked anyone, but sometimes I would come into studio and I was like, do they know what's going on in my life? How do they know? How come they're writing so much like me? Anyway, narcissist actress would think those things. Did they know me? It's like they wrote it for me. Oh,
the way that episode ends actually kind of brings me into one of the things I really want to talk about with Arthur, and it's the reason that I remember it so fondly.
Okay.
The episode ends with essentially a scholastic book fair.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much like breaks the fourth wall, because it's like, hey, you can pick up terrific books like Captain Underpants and The Wicked Wedgie Woman.
Oh wow. Right.
And I cannot, like, like I have a co-host, Blue Dragon 5, and I on my podcast, we talk blue in the face about nostalgia we have for Scholastic book fairs. And I feel like Arthur is like the quintessential Scholastic character.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, like, did Scholastic approach you guys at all for any like promotional stuff? Did you ever do any like book fair signings or anything like that?
No, I never did. You'd have to get in touch with Danny Brochu or Jodie Restler, Bruce Dinsmore, like you'd have to, because honestly, like, Fern is great, but she's not one of the main characters. I would go in only a few times a season most times. It was rare for me to be included on any tours. I don't think Scholastic approached anyone, although you never know. I mean, it was also like a time that was before how prevalent doing Comic-Cons and conventions is now.
Oh yeah.
I was only asked to do an animation convention last year, and that was my very first one, even with everything else. Like, so it was kind of, I'm not the first choice when it comes to Arthur promos and tours, but as far as I know, I wasn't hearing about anybody doing anything like that. I mean, I think it would also probably had to do with the fact that we were recording the show in Canada and that, everything else was happening in the States. I mean, it was airing in Canada, but it was airing through American networks. So like, probably it was too complicated to bring a bunch of Canadians down to the States. Although I don't know. You'd have to talk to maybe some of the people involved on the other side of the
so you guys
I'm sure it feels very gratifying though to have, to be on a show that has such a legacy in education behind it.
Full on. Honestly, Arthur's I cannot stress enough how much I love it and how much like a family it is and was, and
right.
It was, I
cannot tell you how many rainy days in elementary school. It's like, okay, let's, this is the 90s, right? When I was growing up. So we had those, like, we still had those, like, wheel out TVs on the. Oh, yeah. All right, let's wheel out and watch some Arthur.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's wonderful. I'm meeting so many people, the longer I stay in the industry, and I do a lot of theater in Montreal, and I I meet a lot of people now and students and people who are, a lot younger than me. They come up to me and they say, "You were on Arthur," and that we're in a show together, or we're buddies, and I'm like, yeah, you were a child. Oh dear.
Okay, to be fair, I'm 28, so I'm not that much younger.
No,
than
you're
you.
not. But it's like a 10-year, but
right.
I forget how long it's been on and how many people saw it. So it is gratifying. I mean, my whole trajectory in my life is a big ball of gratifying bliss. I'm so lucky. No, but I mean, I really because actors go through up and downs, but I'm one of the lucky ones in Montreal. I've worked consistently and I've been able to pretty much support myself without many part-time jobs in the last little while. You know what I mean? So it's so gratifying when it hits big, when it touches people, when people remember episodes. I'm always amazed, because like I have friends who are doctors, and I'm like, wow, you're a doctor. That's and then I mean,
no, it's funny because I have friends who I consider like way more successful in life than me, but when I tell them I have a podcast, they're like super impressed by it, and I'm like, dude, I get $0 in ad revenue. It's really not that much to be impressed by.
Yeah, but and then usually people who are wiser than I am will say, you are touching people by telling stories and doing funny voices, and it's always glamorous. But yes, so that's my gratitude story.
Oh, nice.
Then, so what year did Arthur? Was that first season back in 1996?
That for me, yeah, I think it was 1996 or 1997. I can't actually remember if I was involved in season 1 or, I mean, I think Fern showed up in season 1, but towards the end of it, if at all, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sorry, I'm not more up on the dates and all of that.
That's fine.
No,
I was just trying to think back to that episode. I know it's the first one she's in, where she challenges all the other students to write
the story.
poems. Yeah.
Oh, the poetry one too. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I could look on IMDb.
I think it's just amazing to be for you. I mean, to be a part of a show like this. That it's not just a TV show. It's a children's animated show. It's been on for so long now, and I mean, as far as I know, I don't think they have any plans of canceling it anytime soon.
I hope not. I haven't heard anything. Maybe you guys know. I don't know.
I certainly haven't. I have not at all, and I think it's probably just as popular as it's ever been. And you still do Fern, right?
I still, when they call me, I still do Fern, and pretty much only Fern. I think I might have done. I don't even know if I ever did anything else or extra. Maybe like a random kid here and there, or some tiny extra little character, like something. But I don't even remember actually. So really, just Fern. I mean, she's great. And you're right. It was 1997. It was season 1, episode 28. I'm a poet.
I wonder how many episodes. They must have had like around 30 episodes in that first season. I'm guessing. Looks like 30 episodes. Yeah. There you go. That's impressive. So then you were, like you said, you were 16 when you did that, around 16.
16, 17, yeah.
So then
maybe even 18 at that point if it was 97, but because we recorded it and then they would air it, and I can never remember. I was somewhere between 16 and 18.
And then they had all these, they had and have still to this day all these little kids doing a bunch of the other characters. You know, of course you have Buster and Francine are exceptions. I think Muffy too. Yeah.
You mean in terms of who's an adult and who's a child?
Yeah. I know Arthur and DW were both still are played by children.
Yeah.
It's funny to think because I can always usually tell how old an episode is by
which Arthur it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only the animation, which is becoming more clearer, but again, like the actors.
Yeah.
I think that's also super impressive that they still have you on doing the same character, and she sounds exactly the same as she did way back.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
I have a weird. I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't think women go through the same kinds of things that men do when their voices break. But I'm expecting that at some point my voice will change or sound older, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I'm a perpetually youthful sounding person, so I guess that's good for now. Unless I take up smoking or something.
With like, I'm not sure how many male boy roles you've done, but that's definitely a very popular thing with female actors is doing the voice work for, like, I know Tara Strong does the voice for Timmy Turner. She's been doing that forever.
Yeah.
So it's really one of those things where you can voice either gender really if you're female.
I've definitely ventured into the young boy voice territory, and it is exceptionally fun when I get to do both. But sometimes you need a real child.
Yeah.
Child, because
especially in the case of Arthur and DW, who are the main characters of the show, you need kids for that.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't saying anything really important. I don't even remember what I was saying. Now I'm just sort of meandering down memory lane about it all and how wonderful it was.
Well, I'm sure Arthur's going to come back into the conversation at some point. Tyler, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before we move on?
No, not with Arthur.
Now it was around this same time that Tyler and I were debating before the show of if we wanted to talk about this or not. Caillou.
Caillou.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about Caillou, sure.
I mean, you were only in 2 episodes, right?
That's right.
Okay, to be frank, like I think Caillou is kind of like I don't want to say it's the polar opposite of Arthur, but
it's not for the same age group, though.
No.
I mean, you gotta give it some credit. It's for the wee ones. It's not for, I mean, Arthur was for kids who could, sit up by themselves.
True.
A sandwich, write something on a paper,
If I find a good old classic Arthur episode online by some odd chance, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. The full 22 minutes. I'll still do that today.
Yeah.
I know, me too.
Yeah. For sure. I'm not gonna seek out Caillou.
So I imagine Caillou is one of those things where you just went in for, like a half hour, an hour, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I mean, I always loved Caillou, and I mean, there's for everybody in Montreal who worked on Caillou, there's like an extremely sad story that goes along with it, which is that the lead who was playing Caillou was killed in a horrible car accident. And so we were all extremely devastated and traumatized by that in the voice acting community. Her name was Jacqueline Linetsky, and she was incredible. And so Caillou, like we like to make fun of, how it was like a little bit, but like we also always miss Jackie too, so it's got this weird, nothing in Montreal that gets made here is ever really, forgotten, because we get so little work compared to other cities like Toronto and, places in the States, like, well, obviously LA, forget about it. But you know what I mean? Like there's always a story within the community of friends, because, we're only couple hundred people, I think, who really do English. Well, maybe it's more than a couple hundred. I'm not sure. But there aren't that many English-speaking actors in Montreal. There are way more French-speaking actors. A lot of people who are bilingual, but, the English projects that come through are always special and kind of remembered on some level. And there's always some hilarious story connected to it, or some very human element that's connected to something. But yeah. Oh, Caillou.
So we were talking with you may be familiar with her or her work. We were talking with Susan Roman just about a week ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know her? You're familiar with her?
I know of her, but I don't know all of her stuff. No.
Okay. Well, she was talking about with us how I think we'll probably all know this, how a lot of Canadian-made original cartoons and television doesn't get a whole lot of traction, I suppose, outside of Canada.
Yeah.
And then, like, she did a show back in the late 70s. It was a live-action show.
Okay.
But I tried looking it up, and I could only find, like, a clip of an episode, and that was basically it. Like,
what was it called?
It was called Flappers.
Okay. No idea.
And basically, it's there's really not much.
It's like a Prohibition era sitcom.
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
think Cheers, but Prohibition.
Oh my gosh, I think I would have really liked that. Darn. Oh, man.
Yeah, anyways, I tried looking something up from that, and she was telling us how, after, a little while, it just slowly slipped into that soft goodnight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Or I'm guessing you're not a huge fan of that, but any thoughts?
Oh, I feel sad. I mean, I recently just went hunting for stuff. So I tried, but like even these searches, like sometimes you don't remember the name, or you knew the name because it was in French and you knew that they were going to change the name of the show when they aired it in English. So you never knew what they actually called it. Mm-hmm. Or, so sometimes I would be, looking for random stuff like ancient Egypt cartoon, skinny, paper guy, because I couldn't remember the name, and it was a show called Papyrus, and I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So kind of more obscure stuff I sometimes go looking for, but yeah, it's sad. I wish I could remember everything. I mean, just to remember that there, the story that went along with it or whatever. Because, there were a lot of studios that used to produce a lot of stuff in Montreal. And so I was also really young, so I wasn't able to work on every single thing that was happening in the city. But there were tons. A show called Ivanhoe that I tried to find, and I couldn't find anything. I mean, because a lot of the time it would get aired in Southeast Asia or, Europe.
Right.
We didn't have the internet, obviously, so we wouldn't have known anything about where it was showing or who was watching, even, really. So.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. It's a long-winded
No, it's fine.
Oh, no, it's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Detailed answers are always a whole lot better than...
yeah, I don't know. That would be very good.
So one of the most interesting credits you have, I think, is Tripping the Rift.
Oh, God.
What year was that?
Yeah.
Tyler, what year was that?
That was from 2004 to 2007.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Honestly, my co-host from my other podcast wanted me to bring it up, and I do remember it. So
I mean, it was kind of just a weird. It felt very.
It's like this weird, like pseudo Star Trek parody, like.
Yeah, but there were like
really weird.
There were like boob reference. Like it was kind of dirty. It was kind of like I think it was pretty raunchy even at some point. So when I did it, I felt weird because I was just like, wow, this is sort of. I mean, yeah, there's a. I don't know if I should tell this story. I don't know who your demographic is. How old are your people listening? Because I mean, there was a side business for voice actors who would overdub pornography films.
Oh boy.
So there was a whole side business here of, voice actors doing that. And I remember when I was 16, I think one of them said to a group, "Oh, well, will I see you at the so-and-so session later?"
Oh,
I said, "No, what's that? What's that? Why didn't
God. Oh, man.
So I had to kind of learn in this really weird way. So I remember Tripping the Rift, and I mean, I was already in my 20s, so I wasn't,
of course, yeah.
I wasn't innocent anymore, but I still felt a little funny because it was like kind of, we knew all the directors, everybody knew one another, so it was just like, it was a new level. I felt like I'd hit a new level.
Okay, right.
In my career.
Of course, your career, of course, Arthur being a big fixture of it, Arthur, Now, I will say Tripping the Rift, that is definitely the opposite of Arthur.
Yeah.
Doing Fern Walters 1 minute, the next minute doing something completely different we can talk about.
Yeah, I don't even think I had a name, probably. I mean, I don't remember. I don't remember the names of the characters. But anyway, it was a funny show, though. I remember thinking it was very funny and really enjoying it. But I remember thinking also like, oh my, I'm a grown-up now. This is it. Okay.
And then a little bit earlier than that, I think it was probably 2001 or 2000 maybe, you were contacted to do Sagwa, or did you just audition for that?
I auditioned for Sagwa, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Tell us about this, because this is actually a show that I grew up on, that I have very fond memories of watching. It was very short-lived, though, which I was surprised to find out sometime when I looked it back up. I don't remember it being as short-lived as it was, but I guess there
probably
were
because you just watched the same 12 episodes over and over again.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
There's only one season of Sagwa, and what was it like voicing a cat? Because I know you love cats.
I do. It was the best. I mean, after Arthur and with Arthur, because it was happening simultaneously, I felt like a big famous star. I was just like, oh my gosh, I got the lead on a thing, and wow, but yeah, I don't know why it didn't last. I mean, it's probably always money or politics or somebody said something and they didn't like it and blah. Like, I don't know. You never know why these things don't go. But we had so much fun doing that show. It was just, it was a treat. And I was just I felt like I was really at my job too, because I was going into studio so much and I was so thrilled. Yeah, like I really kind of felt like I'd made it, and it was a
Yeah.
beautiful show. I can't remember if it won an Emmy or if it was nominated. I feel like it got nominated for something important. And it won an award I believe it won an award for backgrounds or something. Or maybe I'm confusing it with something else, which is highly likely or possible. But
I could see that show winning an award for backgrounds. I could see that.
I feel like it was something like that. But anyway, and it was also special because we were working with people out in Vancouver as well. So, some of the stuff that was being recorded was out in BC, and then some of the stuff was being done in Montreal. It all just felt very national and big and cool, and yeah. I mean, it's Amy Tan,
Yeah, and
Tan story.
like you were saying about all these, these nominations and things. I think it's kind of funny and sad when you hear about these shows that are nominated and even win things, but then end up getting canceled for unknown reasons. Like that, of course, that happened with a favorite show of mine, Invader Zim, short-lived show.
Oh yeah,
that was
telling me about that show.
Someone what?
Someone was just telling me about that show in studio yesterday.
Really?
One
Wow.
of the writers I work with. What's it about?
It's basically just about a little green alien who's trying to take over Earth, but it's done in a very dark humor. Not too dark because it's for kids. It's Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
It's on Nickelodeon, but it's still very cynical about like human nature in general,
Like,
right, Ezra?
You have gosh, this wouldn't fly.
It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe.
It is, but
so intrigued now. Whoa.
There's a lot of.
It's all about the tone. You know what I mean? It's like you have to see the tone of it.
Oh wow! I can buy this on dare I say the dreaded iTunes. I can actually buy this whole series. I'm a total Mac person. I don't even understand how to open and turn on a PC. So I'm like, ooh.
I think you could probably find it on Hulu too. I know it was on Netflix. Anyways, yeah, it's
it looks adorably hilarious and irreverent and fun.
It really is, and the humor is totally off the wall. It's just
awesome.
It's absurd. Anyways, that was nominated. Actually won, I think, a best theme song.
Oh, cool.
Best visuals. Yeah, check it out. The theme song is absolutely spectacular. But
I'm excited now. Thank you. I'm always wanting to find new cartoons.
It was nominated for a few things, I think, but then a couple of years passed and it was canceled. Then it was brought back on again due to fan outrage and basically a big demand for it.
Well, it was brought back on again, like almost 2 decades later.
Well, no, it was brought back on 2004 through 2005. Then it was brought on.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why some of the episodes look new. Anyways,
I'm not an expert on that show like you are.
It's getting a big TV movie now because people are so excited.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, the TV movie.
Anyways, Ollie, back to you.
No, this is great. We're all nerds here.
I mentioned that you were coming on the podcast yesterday on Facebook, and the first comment I got, because I posted this card here with you and Sagwa on it,
right?
And the first person who commented, the first comment I got was basically in all capital letters with a bunch of exclamation points. My friend just yelled, "Sagwa!" So people definitely remember it, and I think it's one of those obscure, not too obscure, but obscure enough old PBS cartoons that people have very fond memories of.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Something like, and oh, never mind. I was going to mention this back when we were on Caillou. I was surprised to find out how long that ran.
The Caillou ran long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was like a 4-year deal, not like some over 10-year thing.
Was it that long, or did it just?
I think it was from 19 something to 2010.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was all the more surprised then after finding that out because you were only in 2 episodes, and I think you played the babysitter.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've been a lot of babysitters.
So Ezra, we should probably, while we still have time, we should probably talk about the video game industry, because that's something we haven't really touched on with the podcast.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we should get into that next.
Sure.
You want to take the lead on this, Tyler? It's not something I know a whole lot about.
Granted, I'm not really a gamer outside of Nintendo, so it's not something I know a whole lot about either. But
I'm not a gamer at all. Like I know about
Ubisoft is based in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's based in Montreal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, I know they have offices in France and in other places in Quebec, and I think in Toronto. Yes.
It's funny. I remember, this is like a really random thing, but I remember I took like a 1-day voice acting seminar a couple years ago, and there was a guy there who was from Ubisoft.
Cool. That's awesome.
Anyways.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're huge here. They keep most of us voice actors alive throughout the years with all of their projects. And this is the thing that I have to say now. I don't game, so I've never really seen
that makes 3 of us
much of what I end up being in or doing. And I only just recently started looking for, live streams of people playing the games and trying to check and see if any of my characters are there or whatever. But I've never really had big name characters in the games. I'm lucky that I can be part of the life around in the video. Like I'm a lot of random, I'm a lot of various, I'm a lot of multiple characters and voices with different scenarios and different accents, and so it's always really like I can never find myself unless I played the game, because I'd have to like kind of look.
Sure.
But yeah, in the recent past, I've been lucky enough to work on games like Far Cry Primal and Assassin's Creed Origins, which required that we speak different languages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I was really, really excited about, particularly, well, for everything, but for Far Cry Primal, we've got this crazy kind of language, like a first primal language, a pre-language. Wow. Yeah, and so they did extensive research, and I think the guy was in Kentucky. I want to say Kentucky. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. They had an expert who would send us, language snippets, and we had to basically speak this language, and that was incredible. I was so excited, and I got to speak a bit of Greek in Origins, like it just ancient Greek, right? So like you're getting to do these crazy things that you wouldn't normally get to really do in any other voice capacity, because if you're not a fluent native speaker of that language, you're not necessarily gonna get to do anything in those languages ever, because why should you? Because it's not your language.
I'm a doctor for a living. What do you do? Oh, I speak some random Greek language.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more, well, I wish I could speak more, and I wish I were a polylinguistic. I'm a wannabe polyglot, so I study languages, and I try to emulate as many of them as I can. But because
it's good enough.
And I love doing accents and things, but that's also part of the singing thing. I think it's because of the musical ear and everything. So I'm always extremely intrigued when I get to do something more challenging linguistically or vocally. And even the fighting and the screaming and all of the barks and the oh no, the onomatopoeia sounds, everything, like it's a huge job. It's a vocally demanding job. So it's extremely challenging in the best possible way, and also extremely rewarding, because so many people are playing games and so many people are connecting to these things. So, I mean, again, I feel completely lucky to have been welcomed into the voice acting of games world, because it's a little more rare that you get to do that, especially being a woman, and gaming companies are getting way better at making female protagonists in their games, but we still have a ways to go. There are still way more roles for men in these games?
I don't know much, but I do, like, I'm not an expert by any stretch, all right? So I'm just, like, going off of other people's hype, but
Yeah.
I hear there's, like, an incredible lead female character in the new Castle Wolfenstein game.
Oh, yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, I know nothing about it. Like, first-person shooters are not my thing at all. If I'm a gamer at all, I go to Nintendo.
Right.
But, yeah, you know, like, I've heard incredible things about this one character. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. The video game industry in general, and, you know, face it, like, the animation industry in general, I think, and entertainment in general is becoming much more diverse, you know, very quickly.
Totally. Yes.
Holly,
You're right. I don't know much, and I'm ashamed to say it. And I'm
No,
not.
like I said, I'm literally just going off of, like, random, like, hearsay that I've heard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But I mean, there are a lot more people that get, they go to the conventions and the tours, and it's important, because we want the games to live. And so, I have several friends who are deeply committed to gaming, and they have Twitch accounts, and they want to be, part of that community as well. And I'm not saying I don't want to be a part of it, but it's a whole other.
I wish I had time to be
That's
committed
what I was
to
just
gaming,
gonna
right?
say. Time. I don't have time because I do.
I mean, hell, I love Nintendo games, and Nintendo games are the most casual thing there is.
Yeah.
But even, like, I don't even have time to play a lot of Nintendo games even anymore. You know what I mean? Let alone all these, like, way more involved, like, story-centric, like, 50-hour plus games.
Yeah, I don't. I can't. I mean, my husband is a gamer, so he is the expert on everything games. He's brilliant, and he wants to create his own games as well. So he knows
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's been learning basic animation, and he's an incredible artist, and I'm bragging about my husband. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, he's the expert, and he knows how all this world works and what he is. I mean, he knows how to find us in the videos, but you'd find him more. He has a larger part in Assassin's Creed Origins. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm very happy for him.
So then once he gets his own game, you're gonna be his go-to for female lead, right?
What I'm hoping. Yeah. I don't know if he's listening right now. But
it's gonna break out into some worldwide phenomenon. You're gonna go to all these conventions and
yeah. Well, that's definitely a part of what we hope to be able to accomplish in the future.
Yeah.
Like, we'd like to create a game together. We'd like to be able to do everything. I'd love to do cartoons. I want to create cartoons and animated series. I have so many crazy ideas after such a long time. So, there's a lot of crossover. But yeah, he's still way better at knowing about games. So I'm even hesitant to talk anymore about it because I don't know. I don't know. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tyler, did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
I mean, no, like I said, I'm not an expert on gaming by any means. Okay. I just think it's something that we should hit on.
For sure.
I mean, honestly, I was going to ask what the differences were between, working in games and working in animation. But honestly, I think through your answers just to my general question, you pretty much covered that. So.
I mean, there is a difference. Yeah, there's a difference in the kind of rigor that you need to employ when you're doing these sessions. Although that's not even necessarily true, because if you're doing like a little tiny voice like this for like 6 hours a day, you still have to protect yourself, and you have the same kinds of challenges. So it's similar, but a little more realistic.
I imagine with video games, it's a lot more circumstantial, right? Like, it's a lot more just like just one-off characters and like, hey, I mean, I'm probably generalizing here, but like, hey, go to this location and like, you know what I mean? It's
gotten a lot more intricate, but it is basically still that kind of model. I think.
Right.
Sandbox model. Ooh, I'm not actually sure.
I believe the kids today call them CPUs or computer controlled players or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, if my husband is listening, he's banging his head.
Right.
Don't talk anymore about these things.
Like I said, I'm a Nintendo guy. Nintendo doesn't really even do voice acting for the most part, so I don't know.
No. I mean, you've got Breath of the Wild, though. I mean, you've got the new Zelda, which is
Of course, I need to get myself a Switch. Trust me, I'm dying to get a Switch. I just don't have $300 to drop on a console right now.
It is Zelda, so you should play it because you should play Zelda, and you should listen to my wonderful friend Patricia Somerset because she's amazing.
Okay, my sister is like one of the biggest Zelda fans ever, so I know all about Zelda fandom.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I have so many memories of like, watching my sister play Ocarina of Time when we were kids.
Yeah, no, totally.
Now, switching over, since this is getting a little bit out of hand, switching over to something you may or may not have done, dubbing.
Yes, tons and tons.
Oh yeah, we definitely should talk about that because, of course, the last person we had on was Susan Ezra, and Susan is a veteran dubber, being involved in Sailor Moon and all that.
And she was telling us how, like you said earlier, how both challenging, no matter how long you've been doing it, it's always a challenge, and then how rewarding it is because she's made so much. She's made so many fans over the past few years from doing Sailor Moon, which is the show she dubbed.
Yeah.
How rewarding that is. What kind of stuff have you dubbed, and how much of a challenge has it been for you?
Well, I mean, I was lucky enough to start after the singing right with dubbing. So dubbing started when I was about 9 or 10. So
that's right, because you were in all those French films, right?
Well, there were some French projects that we would dub, but I only ever dubbed in English mostly. I've done a little bit of French dubbing, but yeah,
I mean the things brought over from France that you dubbed.
That's right. Things brought over from France, from kind of all over though. I mean, there were many things, and I mean, yeah, I think the bulk of the popular stuff that I did was from French, although I'm not sure about that. There's tons. There's not as much dubbing done anymore. And I can't really tell you why that is because I'm not sure if people are into subtitles more or what. But yeah, I do a lot of dubbing and I love it. I love the challenge of that. And it's an extremely particular skill. They do use dubbing for some of the video game work, but not always. Yeah, it's a real treat because you have to get that kind of eye-mouth combination going. You have to be looking in two places at once, and you have to get your mouth to just say words immediately, as you see them. So you're doing a lot of rapid eye movement kind of stuff as well as eliciting the character and the voice and everything. So it's really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I really love dubbing a lot. I mean, I love all of it. What can I say? I guess I wouldn't still be doing it if I didn't love it.
So then, what kind of stuff have you been working on recently? I know you made a post some time ago about doing stuff. I know, of course, you're always doing stuff because that's what you do. But
yes.
What kind of stuff have you done in the past few years?
Well, in the last few years, I did a show that was airing. I think it still might be airing on a channel here called Teletoon that we have in Canada, and it's a show called Toon Marty, which I think is just hilarious. It's a really fun one with some fabulous people from Montreal and Toronto, and I play a robot, and her name is Holly.
Wow, well,
the best. I don't know why. I mean, I think they changed her name. Initially, she was supposed to be called Robot Girl or something. And they changed the name, but they changed the name like after I had auditioned and before I had been cast. So they didn't know that I was going to be playing the robot. And anyway, they changed her name to Holly just randomly. At least that's what I was told. So that was fun. And I'm working currently now on an amazing animated series for kids called ZAFARI.
Okay.
And I get to play the lead. I'm playing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm playing. Well, one of the leads is kind of like we're kind of co-leads on the show. And I'm lucky enough to be working with the same guy that I worked with on Toon Marty, a guy named Brian Froud. So Brian plays Marty in Toon Marty, and in ZAFARI he plays my best friend Quincy. I'm Zumba, the kind of little elephant, and Quincy is a.
Oh wow! I just looked it up here. This looks absolutely this looks beautiful. The animation, the colors. Wow.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's actually, I'm sorry, it's one of the most gorgeous things I've gotten to work on.
Yeah, this is probably the single most wonderful thing I've seen all day. Like,
yay!
I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Yeah, so that'll be airing. I don't know when. Later, way later, but soon.
So it hasn't aired yet. Okay.
No, we're still in production. We're still doing lots of sessions and enjoying the process.
Wow, I feel it's rare that you get a 3D animated series that actually looks nice to look at.
It's gorgeous.
I agree.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to toot my own thing, but like honestly, the director David Dozoritz is he's wonderful. The team is wonderful. The animation team is wonderful. Everyone is excited about this. So happy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it getting out there. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of the voice director Mark Camacho, who's a huge person to know and to get to work with in the city. Like, there's just so many wonderful people on the show. It's great.
That's awesome, and it's so nice when you can work in a nice environment like that you're comfortable with, and you have fun. Like, how long do the sessions usually last for something like this?
Well, it depends. I mean, we have all kinds of regulations through our union, through ACTRA. So I mean, generally a session is a 4-hour call, and you usually complete, I mean, 2 episodes if you're doing an original thing. But for dubbing it's a completely different game. It depends on how many lines you have. It depends on how big your character is. Like, it kind of, it doesn't really follow the same kind of rules. But you're usually going in for at least an hour or 2 anywhere you go. So yeah.
Wow, interesting. Tyler, did you have anything you wanted to say? I thought I heard you trying to.
No, I'm good, man.
Okay, all right.
Honestly, like I kind of told you over Facebook, I'm sort of like, my health condition is kind of like not really great. So
no.
Yeah, I'm like in the early stages of a cold. So this is, as fun as this has been, it's also been a bit of an endurance test on my body a little bit.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't apologize at all. It's fine. But
well, time is closing in here, Tyler. So we're gonna wrap up here. Pretty soon.
For sure.
Awesome. It's been really nice to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for contacting me and wanting to do this. Such a treat. It's always nice to talk to people who like the stuff that we do in the city.
Well, yeah, thank you too. Thank you for sacrificing your time to join us on here and talk for probably just about an hour. I'd say.
Closing in on an hour. Yeah.
It was great. It was my pleasure, you guys. Thanks.
And I'd like to thank all of our viewers. We have, and viewers to come, of course, the people tuning in right now. Tyler, thank you for taking the time out to join me in your condition.
You bet. And I bet you guys didn't even notice I was sick.
Oh, poor you. Yuck.
I'm sorry.
And on that note, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thanks.